Right, a wonderful Friday morning to you, wherever it is you're listening to us from omoluwabi at the 7.7 FM. And you're welcome to the weekend edition of the program, Newslands, right here on omoluwabi. It is 7.7 FM. You know how we do it on the program. We review some of the newspaper headlines that made it through to the Nigerian dailies. And then we also give you a chance. You also get to be a part of the program by also joining us to do some of the analysis right here on the program this morning. All right. So the time check this morning is 5 minutes gone past the hour, 7 o'clock, and then I'm welcoming you to another edition of the program. This is Omoluwabi, the 7.7 FM, the station that brings you the best in news, talk, and of course, music. We are the voice of integrity, and like I will always say, anytime, any day, you can count on us on this dial. It is 7.7 FM, situated on the hills of Mokola. In Ibadan, right here in the city of Ibadan. All right, my name is Oluwatayo Ajiwole, and I'm reporting for duty today. The 16th day in the month of August 2024. How are you doing this morning? Happy weekend to you, wherever it is you are. Trust your weekend is starting on a good note already, and want to believe you are set and for work already because I still have to go to work today. Yeah. All right. Without much ado, let's go to the business of the day. This morning, I've got four newspapers with me this morning. I have the Nigerian, I have the Guardian, the Vanguard, and I've got the Punch newspaper. They were with me this morning. Nigerian Tribune is also with me this morning. And then, you know how we do it. I'll read out the headlines first, right after which we analyze some of the stories that made it through to the Nigerian dailies this morning. Do not also forget that we are streaming live on Facebook this morning at Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. That's the handle on Facebook. And go watch us live on Facebook this morning at Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Drop your comment too. When the time comes to read your comments this morning on Facebook. All right, let's start with the headlines from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. With this one from the Vanguard newspaper saying federal government, Ogun government battle to recover seized presidential jets. And the story has some riders here saying Chinese firm Zugan secures Paris court order saying other attempts by Chinese company Zongan to strip Nigeria of assets. Presidency Ogun government faults fraudulent legal process by Zoshan and then says it's an international embarrassment that's coming from the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi there. The story has a lot of riders on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and it's on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper saying federal government, Ogun government battle to recover seized presidential jets. I can get full details of that story, like I said, on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. We have this one saying NJC recommends Kudirat Kekere Ekun CJN. NJC recommends Kudirat Kekere Ekun CJN. Can get full details of that story right there on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Monkeypox Bayelsa leads as NCDC confirms 39 cases in 33 states plus the FCT. Can get full details of that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Mixed reactions as our federal government plans to boost external reserves with 500 million naira FGN bond. Mixed reaction as federal government plans to boost external reserve with 500 million naira FGN bond. Can get full details of that story on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Inflation raise eases to 33.4% in wake of harvest season. Inflation rates eases to 33.4% in wake of harvest season. Probably that's a good one for all of us as Nigerians. I can get full details of that story on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. We have this one saying that federal government mediates between discos, man, over electricity tariff hike. Federal government mediates between discos, man, over electricity tariff hike. You can get full details of that story on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Igbo professionals condemns Igbo must go campaign. Igbo professionals condemns Igbo must go campaign. You can get full details of that story on page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And then that's all we have from the Vanguard newspaper this lovely Friday morning. Let's check out what we have from the Guardian newspaper with this one saying rinse and repeat. Nigeria awaits Los Angeles Olympic after Paris 9 billion poor outing. Rinse and repeat. Nigeria awaits Los Angeles Olympics Olympics after Paris 9 billion naira poor outing. You can get full details of that story on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And still from the Guardian newspaper, we have this one saying falling food prices moderate inflation spike amid sustainability concerns. Falling food prices moderate inflation spike amid sustainability concerns. Can get full details of that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And we have this one saying Bauchi Emirate withdraws senator's chieftaincy over alleged disrespect for governor. Bauchi Emirate withdraws senator's chieftaincy title over this alleged disrespect for governor. Can get full details of that story on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Monkeypox, NCDC places airports, seaports, states on high alert. Monkeypox, NCDC places airports, seaports, states on high alert. Can get full details of that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. NJC recommends Kekere Ekun as CJN, 28 other judges. NJC recommends Kekere Ekun as CJN, 28 other judges. Can get full details of that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Court orders forfeiture of $2 million. Shares, properties linked to a Mayfield. Court orders forfeiture of $2 million. Shares, properties linked to a Mayfield. Can get full details of that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. International embarrassment, says Obi as federal government moves to recover seized jets. International embarrassment, says Obi as federal government moves to recover seized jets. You can get full details of that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Senate defense running cost for lawmakers. Senate defense running cost for lawmakers. You can get full details of that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Address hardship to avert another protest. Udenta tells Tinubu. Address hardship to avert another protest. Udenta tells Tinubu. You can get full details of that story there on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And this one lastly on Guardian newspaper saying Disco's defend tariff hike, claim band aid customers pay lowest rates in West Africa. Disco's defend tariff hike, claim band aid customers pay lowest tariff rates in West Africa. Can get full details of that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And that's all we have from the Guardian. Let's check the Nigerian Tribune also this morning with this one that says anger as French court orders seizure of 3 presidential jets. Anger as French court orders seizure of 3 presidential jets. The story is here. The story has riders here saying over dispute between Ogun State's Chinese firm. Federal government has no contractual obligation with Chinese firm. Presidency process attaching aircraft to contract fraudulent. Ogun government seized presidential jets as sovereign assets immune from attachments. That's coming from the AGF. So this one is saying says legal. The AGF is also speaking and says legal diplomatic steps on course to ensure discharge of inappropriate order. And you have this one saying secret purchase of presidential jets despite outcry insensitive. That's coming from Peter Obi. You can get all of those stories on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And then we have this one saying despite rising price of items, NBC says inflation rate drops to 33.40%. Despite rising price of items, NBC says inflation rate drops to 33.4%. You can get full details of that story of on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. NJC recommends Kekere Ekun as CJN, 28 others as judges. NJC recommends Kekere Ekun as CJN, 28 others as judges. You can get full details of that story right there on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And we have this one saying Nigeria battles multiple diseases as monkeypox cases rises to 39. Nigeria battles multiple diseases as monkeypox cases rise to 39. Can get full details of that story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And we have this one saying Kano governor has reduced governance to a joke. That's coming from Ganduje. Kano governor has reduced governance to a joke. That's coming from Ganduje. Dismisses claim of missing documents on corruption trial. Can get full details of that story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And still from the Nigerian Tribune, we have this one saying Nigeria sets new record as over 30,000 mothers breastfeeding simultaneously. Okay, Nigeria sets new record as over 30,000 mothers breastfeeding simultaneously. Can get full details of that story on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And we have this one saying Nigerians are hungry due to failure of government. That's coming from Afe Babalola. Saying Nigerians are hungry due to failure of government. Afe Babalola backs the Patriots call for new constitution. Backs the Patriots call for new constitution. That's Afe Babalola speaking there. You can get full details of that story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Senate denies receiving 21 million naira as monthly salary allowances. Senate denies receiving 21 million naira as salary allowances. Says running costs not peculiar to NAS. Can get full details of that story on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And that's all we have from the Nigerian Tribune. Lastly, let's check what we have from the Punch newspaper this morning. Ogun FTZ deal. Chinese firm targets Nigeria assets in 8 countries. Ogun FTZ deal. Chinese firm targets Nigeria assets in 8 countries, says Zungan eyes assets in UK, US, others. Presidency vows to protect jets. You can get full details of that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And we have this one saying harvest season food price. Harvest season reduces food inflation to 39.50. Harvest season reduces food inflation to 39.50. That's coming from page 19 of the Nigerian Tribune of the Punch newspaper this morning. You can get this one saying federal government eyes pension funds in 500 million bond issuance. Federal government eyes pension funds in $500 million bond issuance. You can get full details of that story on page 21 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Monkeypox, federal government tightens border surveillance as cases hit 39. Monkeypox, federal government hits border surveillance as cases hit 39. You can get full details of that story right there on page 15 of the Punch newspaper this morning. We have this one saying court orders for feature of Emefiele's $2.4 million Lagos Delta assets. Court orders forfeiture of Emefiele's $2.4 million Lagos Delta assets. You can get full details of that story on page 15 also of the Punch newspaper this morning. Now we have this one still from the Punch newspaper this morning saying NJC and CJN NJC sends Kekere Ekun's name to Tinubu today. CJN NJC sends Kekere Ekun's name to Tinubu today. You can get full details of that story on page 27 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Educationist files 11 billion naira suit against Sanwo-Olu over school demolition. Educationist files 11 billion naira suit against Sanwo-Olu over school demolition. You can get full details of that story on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And we have this one saying Secretariat raid. NLC demands detained members release. Secretariat raid. NLC demands detained members release. You can get full details of that story also on page 11 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And that's all we have from the Punch newspaper this morning and also from the headlines this morning. All right, right about now we'll be going on a short commercial break, and when we return, Newslands will continue, and then we'll be doing some analysis to some of the stories that we have this morning. Do not go anywhere. Just take it to your radio set because it promises to be an interesting time on radio. Do not forget we're also streaming live on Facebook at omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. We are streaming live on Facebook. You can go check us out there this morning and drop your comments also. We'll be back after this short time out.
Fresh news, best talk, hot music, where else?
Omoluwabi 87.7 FM.
At break time, when my champ needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, made with the goodness of malt, milk, cocoa, and crunchy Niger-grown maize, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Break time is crunch time. So give your champs this delicious crunchy delight to keep them winning all day. Milo and a snacks, snack of future champions. Milo!
Hello?
Hello there. I'm at the hospital right now because the kills are seriously ill. I've been on a long queue and the doctor is here to attend to me. I don't know what to do again.
You know what? How about the numbers I gave you while leaving?
Oh, the e-doctor numbers?
Yes.
Call them right away. They will attend to you immediately.
Hello?
Darling, just like magic. Junior is playing. Even Princess is eating like an adult.
You know I've told you to calm down. Our family is covered with e-doctor premium plan. With eDoctor, you have access to healthcare at your fingertips. Stop wasting your productive hours while waiting in the clinic for doctor. Subscribe today to any of eDoctor plans and enjoy online chat and call consult, laser therapy, medical outreach, and home care services. Simply dial 0704-714-2000 or 0701-000-8670. Log on to www.edoctor.com or visit us at eDoctor, number 2 Ocean Street, New Bodija, Ibadan. eDoctor, inspiring wellness.
Hello, with everybody for health.
My Sabi people, how una dey? Na Sabi people dey listen to Sabi Radio. Omoluwabi Radio 87.7 FM, na dem be Sabi Radio.
Omoluwabi 87.7 FM.
Alright, you're welcome back. It's New Zealand's right here on Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. And now, like I said earlier, we'll be reviewing some of the headlines that made it through to the Nigerian dailies after the short commercial break, and we are back already. So this morning I have with me in the studio Professor Wale Akinyemi. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. Happy weekend to our listeners.
All right. We also have with us in the studio Comrade Omoju. Good morning, Comrade Omoju.
It's my pleasure. Good morning. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. All right. Let's start with this one. It's been some kind of controversial discourse as regards this particular headline. Many people are saying that do we still have some presidential jets outside there that some certain Chinese firm can seize at this point in time? When did they sign the contract? What happened at that point in time? It is not more or less like a P and ID case as we speak. Let's check the headlines out and then let's check get some insights to the story this morning. This one is saying from the Vanguard newspaper, saying federal government, Ogun government battle to recover seized private presidential jets. And this one saying Chinese firm Zhongshan secures a Paris court order attempting by Chinese company Zhongshan to strip Nigeria of assets. Presidency, Ogun government fought fraudulent legal process by Zhongshan. It's an international embarrassment. That's coming from Peter Obi speaking there. And then the Nigerian Tribune also reports the same story. As a matter of fact, the story is on all the front pages this morning. But then let's take this one from The Guardian to saying international embarrassment sees Obi as federal government moves to recover seized jets. International embarrassment says Obi as federal government moves to recover seized jets. You can get full details of that story on page 7 of The Guardian newspaper too. And then we have it also on the night from the Nigerian Tribune saying anger as French court orders seizure of 3 presidential jets, saying it's over dispute between Ogun State's Chinese firm and the federal government is saying federal government has no contractual obligation with Chinese firm. That's coming from the presidency. Process attaching aircraft to contracts fraudulent. And that's to Ogun State is speaking there, and this one is saying seized presidential jets are sovereign assets immune from attachments. That's coming from the Attorney General of the Federation. Says legal diplomatic steps on course to ensure discharge of inappropriate order. Secret purchase of presidential jets despite outcry insensitive. That's coming from Peter Obi there. Let's get some insight to that story this morning. According to the Vanguard newspaper this morning, is saying the presidency yesterday moved against Chinese firm Zhongshan Fucheng Industrial Investment Company over the seizure of 3 presidential jets on the order of the Judicial Court of Paris, France. And then it says it also dismissed court orders against Ogun State government, which led to the seizure of the 3 presidential jets as an attempt to strip Nigeria of her assets. Consequently, both the federal government and Ogun State government are making frantic efforts to vacate the orders obtained by the Chinese company on March 7, 2024 and August 12, 2024 respectively, with a view to securing the release of the planes. This is reminiscent of the order obtained by the process of the Industrial Development Limited, Pay and ID in London to secure $11 billion judgment debt from Nigeria, which the federal government eventually got vacated. Let's get the background to the story this morning, how it all started. A contract between Ogun State and Zhongshan to manage a free trade zone was executed in 2007. But the parties entered into the dispute in 2015 and arbitration began in 2016 rather. By 2019, it was learned that the arbitration hearing had been concluded as the arbitral panel awarded $60 million against the federal government of Nigeria, a co-defendant, when all Zhongshan had done was to build a perimeter fence around the free trade zone. Based on legal advice, Ogun government was said to have resolved to resist enforcement of the award. It was also gathered that the resistance was successful in 8 different jurisdictions, as there are pending appeals against recognition orders issued in both the US and the UK. Ogun State, it was learned, also engaged Zonshan in settlement discussion on reasonable items. And the last meeting, which held in September 2023 in London, lasted for 3 days and was attended by several officials of Ogun State, including Governor Dapo Abiodun and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi. Zonshan initial reasonable readiness to consider Ogun State's offer was surprisingly reversed by second day when it insisted on government paying the full arbitration debt. It was learned that this led to a breakdown of the mediation, with parties agreeing to meet again in the first quarter of this year. Since then, Zonshan Vanguard learned that had been evasive and instead embarked on a series of enforcement proceedings, which the legal team appointed by the FGN and Ogun State successfully opposed. Let me take your reaction to this, Prof. There's been this back and forth between some contract awarded to some Chinese firm, and then at the end of the day, they said the contract wasn't properly executed, and then the Ogun State government withdrew and stuff like that. But then they are saying they need to get their money, and they got a court injunction from a court in Paris saying they can now have possession to some assets of the federal government of Nigeria. And many are saying, is this not a case such as the P&ID case that we had some time past, where we had they said the federal government should pay P&ID $11 billion, and then eventually the federal government of Nigeria won the case, and then it became a thing of the past. Professor Wole Akinyemi, what's your take on this?
Thank you very much, Tayo. It's such a very, very untidy cobweb of corruption, and it shows complete lack of transparency in government business in Nigeria. Now, let me try and see whether I can break this down into ways people can understand it. In the first place, when you are buying jet, what I do know is that you buy from the manufacturer. And the question to ask now is, the presidential fleet, were they manufactured by Chinese? That is very first fundamental questions to ask. I'm aware that what we are running in the presidential fleet are McDonald's jets, and they are manufactured by Americans. So that itself is a complication on its own. The other thing is, when you take loans from international partners, those loans are tied to certain things. So, and you know that in the last regime, Nigeria got a lot indebted to the Chinese government. And some people were warning government that they are taking these loans, that are we not mortgaging our sovereignty as a nation? We are beginning to see the consequences of that now. A situation in which our presidential fleet will be seized on a court order. Make no mistake about it, it is international gang up against Nigeria, but we left our flanks open through irresponsible governance. That is the honest to God's truth. Now, we are talking about the free trade zone. Most people will say, okay, what has Ogun State government got to do with federal government business? I will tell you that the only reason why Ogun State government is involved in all of this is because of proximity to Lagos. They couldn't get land in Lagos again, so Ogun State is naturally the next place. So they got the free trade zone. This is the kind of thing that happened when Dangote was going to establish his refinery. That Ogun State first offered him the land, but for one reason or the other, because of some official malfeasance, he headed up with Lagos State government and he got the land. Now, Chinese government in getting that land must have signed certain, that Chinese company rather, must have signed certain contract with Ogun State government in which the Attorney General of the Federation was privy to, and that's why the federal government got involved. So how does free trade zone business now affect the purchase of presidential fleet is shrouded in a lot of secrecy. I will expect government to explain to Nigerians what exactly is happening. But I will say that government, this is not catching the government by surprise. Why do I say so? You will see that we have been talking about this presidential fleet for a while now, and Nigerians have surreptitiously, quietly bought a presidential jet without letting Nigeria know. because they know that the ones that are in the fleet now, it's not because, now it's very, very clear that it's not because of technical inadequacy that they wanted to set them up, but because they know that there were some controversies on them. And now that this is happening, God knows how much they are going to sell off those jets if they end up getting them. Because if the jets are at optimum performance, they are performing very well, that means that they will just get them, they have seized them from us, then they will sell them at premium price in the international market, and Nigeria will be the loser. So we cannot continue to operate this kind of government that is shrouded in a whole lot of secrecy, that is shrouded in a whole lot of inefficiency, that is shrouded in a whole lot of corruption. That corruption is still the main thing behind all of these things that we are talking about. Let me stop at that for now.
Let's before I come to the module this morning, but then the Attorney General of the Federation is speaking this morning, saying that all of those sister presidential jets, they are sovereign assets and they are immune from attachment to any contract or whatsoever it is. We don't know, I don't know, but we don't have a legal practitioner here. But then I want to take your thoughts to that. The AGF is coming to say these are sovereign assets, and you can't attach them to any contracts with any company or anything. What's your take as regards that, Prof?
We are talking about sovereign asset that is legitimately acquired. Any sovereign asset that is not legitimately acquired is subject to be confiscated by the people. I mean, let us be very, very honest with ourselves. There is no law that can cover that, because the people that you are acquiring the asset from, you will have signed some contractual agreement with them. And if you are the one that is not fulfilling those agreements, then you stand the risk of those national assets being confiscated.
Coming to module, you heard the whole story. The Ogun State government signing the contract with a Chinese firm, and then somewhere along the line they couldn't reach a consensus at the end of the day. But then they got the court injunction to seize some of Nigeria's assets due to the failure of the contract, and now they've seized some of our presidential fleets. Some of our presidential jets rather? What's your take on this?
Most irresponsible that Nigeria as a nation has come to this level of ridicule, that it is now China that will be, dictating certain things to us, and I don't blame them. Some of these people work with documents and facts. So when, we are so used to doing things, shrouded in secrecy, corruption, oiling palms, which many of these companies been, in international practices are not, comfortable with. They are not used to the shenanigans and some of the corruptions that play out in Nigeria by government officials. They work with document. They have, so before they could, get to the point of confiscating some of our assets as a nation, then they have certain defense, which is most unfortunate. But I don't even want to go into such. I want to talk about the statement that despite the challenges in the country, the government still feels the issue of presidential jets is still their own priority in this critical moment in the country. And that is why the other time when a minister was saying we are speaking the same language, I said I disagreed. We are not speaking the same language. Their language is the language of oligarchy. Their language is the language of Banana Island. Their language is the language of presidential jet, SUVs, Ester code for vacations, comfort, as it were. But our own language at the moment is inflation. You can imagine food inflation eating 40%.
But then it has dropped this morning.
Dropped to 39.9%. Isn't that ridiculous? And isn't that, killing in a nation like this? And some group of people are their own business, their own concern is about, acquisition of presidential jet in this critical time. So that's why I said that time that we are not speaking the same language with what the minister said. The other time, one of the spokespersons of the president came here and said, we too will feel what the people are feeling. After all, we go to the same filling station. We may go to the same filling station, but do we have the same capacity to purchase? What you have as a commoner, is it what they have? So we are not speaking the same language. And until we get to the point of, responsible governance, we will continue in this circle. I've said it time and again that Nigeria does not belong to the cabals alone. Certain group of people who have been in government since 1999, even before then, they are still there, even though they are aged. And while they are even going, they are trying to put their children, making it seem as if the nation belongs to them alone. So we need to get serious. It can't be business as usual. Otherwise, we'll continue in this circle. We need a listening and government that actually feel the pulse of the people. Not those who sit down up there in Abuja and just think of what they feel and do. Okay. We'll continue in this circle.
All right, let's move away from that story. Let's check out some other story. Maybe Nigerians will be happy with this one, talking about the inflation rates. Inflation rates is to 33.4% in the wake of harvest season. You can get full details of that story right there on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. The Nigerian Tribune also report the same thing, saying despite rising prices of food items, NBS says inflation rates drops to 33.40. Professor Wale Akin, maybe Nigerians should be happy right now.
Nigerians should not be happy. What you are just saying is not because of the harvest thing; it's because it's a direct result of the strike. That was that government knows the right thing to do, but they refuse to do it. The reaction of government to the strike, their panicky measures and all of that, that is what has resulted in this slight reduction in inflation. I want them to sustain that responsible, that responsible governance. That is what we have been asking for them. We want to be able to feel the impact of government in this country. Let me tell you something. I don't know whether people noticed. When there was chaos in the north, when all those people, all those young guys, when all of them marched to the street and everything, one would have expected that is when you will expect all of these anarchists, all of these Boko Haram, all of these terrorists and everything to take over the reins of power. But you will see that nothing like that happened. So it means that the people that organized the strike, they are also the people that are perpetrating insecurity in the north. That is the simple interpretation. So these people should allow Nigeria to breathe. The politicians, yes, they are responsible for majority of our problems. We do know that you have problem of followership too, but they are not given responsible leadership. Truth must be told. You can imagine a statement accredited to Mr. Vice President saying that somebody can start his life with 8,000 naira. What will 8,000? I mean, is that the kind of statement you expect from a responsible leader? Let us be very honest with ourselves. What will 8,000 naira achieve in today's Nigeria? 8,000 naira to not buy fuel in the car. And you said that is what you should give to somebody. They said, and he was mentioning things like they can do cobbling, they can do Ghana whatever. I won't buy I won't buy that. Is that the kind of thing he wants his own children to be doing? No, I think it's about time we should be telling ourselves some very, very blunt truth. So these people, they need to be put on their toes. And if it is state strikes to do it, please let them do it.
All right, coming over, let me come back to inflation rate has dropped to 33.4%, and many are saying maybe we should be rejoicing by now. And then they're saying food prices have crashed to an extent, and then maybe Nigerians should be happy and they expect a brighter future.
Food crisis dropped. Food inflation dropped 39.9%.
33.4%.
That is general inflation, but food. I'm talking of food in particular.
Okay, the general inflation. We are talking about the general inflation.
General inflation, 33.3.
33.4%.
Oh, 33.4. And somebody is rejoicing about that. There's nothing to rejoice about. Before this government came to power, as bad as it was, we were crying that inflation was around, I think, 21%, which was on the high side. As a matter, it was on the high side. And within 1 year, a year plus, we are where we are. Afe Babalola made a statement this morning in the newspaper, and he's right. Nobody can tell me it's because it's an international thing. The world is hungry, this, that, and.
But then, is it not an international thing? This inflation we're talking about.
It cannot be this bad that food, which is the most basic thing in life, will be the problem of a nation. Those you want to tell me that food is the problem in Germany, in France, in UK, in America? No, you want to tell me that the price of items 10 years ago, even in US, in UK, has skyrocketed like 3-4 times the way we have it in Nigeria? No, let's be careful how we make comparison. Some of these propaganda of government to make comparison that Nigeria,
is it about comparison or about there is inflation all over the world?
Not this kind. Try to understand our peculiarity.
I understand you, but then probably what we are trying to say is the inflation all over the world is definitely affecting us too in Nigeria. Probably it wouldn't have affected us up to this level if there was not anything called inflation in the first instance.
Our own has to do with malfeasance, corruption, and insensitivity and bad management. But then
we deal with the international market too.
If we deal with the international market, don't those countries that I told you now that have maintained their inflation at a particular minimum level, don't they, deal with international markets?
Those are the countries that determine what goes on in the world.
So why are we?
We are still a developing country,
No, let me tell you something. If the problem that we have, even some African nations know that Nigeria has a big problem.
Yeah, definitely, because you are the giant of Africa, it's affecting some other nations too.
Giant of Africa in quote. You can imagine Ghana, making mockery of us, telling us, or Kenya, telling us that this and that. It's most unfortunate that the dimension of our own inflation is as a result of bad government. Take it or leave it. It has not to do with the international or global market, because those ones too have their own citizens that they take care of.
Also, what you are trying to say basically is that let us separate it. That it doesn't have a way it's affecting us in any way.
The global stuff is not our problem here. Our own is mismanagement. I stand to be corrected. Is complete mismanagement. That's nothing to do with global whatever. If it has to do with global, it won't be this bad. We're talking about a bag of rice sold for, even as bad as it was that time, like 40,000 naira, 30,000 naira before this present regime came, and now you are talking about 75, 80,000. Somebody said some years back in 2012 they were selling a bag of rice around, in the north and some other border areas, 3,000, 4,000 a bag, correct, super rice, not just anyhow bag. And the person now told me that if somebody had told him that in so time, a prophet said, if he had told him at that time that this same bag of rice will be sold for 50,000, he said, he will slap the prophet. That, what do you mean? But unfortunately, 10 years, 5 years, 4 years down the line, here we are. And somebody is now ascribing that to global. That is, trying to shirk responsibility and a total act of irresponsibility in governance.
All right, coming to Moji, we need to go on a short commercial break now. Do not forget that we are streaming live on Facebook this morning at omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. You can drop your comment on Facebook. We have some comment there already. When we come back, we read your comment and we'll pick your calls also. Do not go anywhere. Still Newslands right here on Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. We'll be back after this short time out.
The voice of integrity, Omoluwabi 87.7 FM.
will show you.
Junior, don't do that.
Sweetheart, no matter what you do, we show you love. So you can show more love to everyone.
Mom, how do you show more love to everyone? I will show you love.
Show some more love today with 4 more packs of your favorite Indomie noodles in Indomitable and Super Pack cartons. Also, each Indomitable pack is now 200 naira, while Super Pack is now 350 naira. So hurry now. Offer valid till stock lasts.
In any emergency, every second counts. The Nigerian Communications Commission brings you the 112 emergency toll-free line, available nationwide, anytime, any day, absolutely free. With just 3 simple digits, 112, help is on the way. Dial from any network at any time. No charges, just immediate response. Remember, the 112 toll-free line directly connects to emergency services. If you need the police, fire service, ambulance services, Federal Road Safety Corps, Nigeria Civil Defense Corps, and more. Because when it comes to saving lives, we're all in this together at NCC. NCC, connecting Nigeria.
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. Then you need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Then stay in power, you find it all in peak. Then every move you make, Peak's got you all the way. And the beat goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak Protein Breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak. Fresh news, best talk, hot music, where else?
Omoluwabi 87.7 FM.
The voice of integrity, Omoluwabi 87.7 FM.
All right, you're welcome back. It's the news lines right here on Omoluwabi at 7.7 FM. All right, the studio lines are open this morning. You can join the conversation by calling the studios on 07047 007999. 07047 007999. You can also call us on 08053 888933. 08053 888933. Those are the studio lines to call to be a part of the program this morning. You can also drop your comment on Facebook this morning at Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Omoluwabi 87.7 FM is the handle on Facebook. Then you can drop your comments there. We'll read them. We have some comment there already. You can drop yours so that we'll read them when the time comes for us to read. Okay, let's check the story out very quickly. And as regards, there's been this debate over how much do an average Nigerian senator earn every month. And then there's been back and forth. At some point, we heard that they earn just 1 million naira in a month. And then Senator Shehu Sani came on board and said, when I was a senator, we earned 13 million naira. And at some point, yesterday, it was reported in the news that the senator saying they get as much as 21 million naira every month. Let's pick this call before we talk about that this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, so please make your point.
Regarding the inflation, thank God is reducing gradually. But that's where the Mr. President needs to do something on. Because from the removal of fuel subsidy, that is the major problem that Nigeria is facing right now. Despite the increase in monetary allocation to the state government, yes, but the inflation and the naira devaluation is affecting it to make the purchasing value to be low. Even not only the government, even the individual as well. Because the what you can use 1,000 naira to purchase before, you can't use it to buy it now because of inflation and naira devaluation. So that is where Mr. President needs to do something on. About the Senate presidency, if there's no sincere purpose within our Senate and the rank back as well to tell us what the senator they are earning monthly, that means they are not sincere with us in this country. That is why we are calling that the cost of governance in this country is very expensive. it will be less attractive. So I want to appeal to our senator that we have here in Oyo State, 3 senators, all those money they are getting, they should try to invest to give our farmers maybe soft blow or cruiser or tractors, just complement the effort of the state government. They are doing it. That is my own submission this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being a part of the program this morning. All right, let's check that story very quickly as regards the senators coming out to deny. This one saying Senate denies receiving 21 million naira monthly salary and allowances, and says running costs not peculiar to NAS. Professor Wale Akinyemi, what's your take as regards this? There's been some back and forth. You had 1 million naira, 13 million naira. Now senator came out to say 21 million naira. Nigerians are saying, are we not entitled to know how much exactly senators earn every month?
You know one thing about truth, it is consistent. It is only falsehood that you need to bend, that you need to decorate, that you need to, The absolute truth of the matter is that what public officers earn in Nigeria is shrouded in secrecy, and it is because of corruption. But I will tell you this, what they are earning are actually the economic realistic wages in Nigeria. Yes, it's true, because that is why they are not feeling what other people are feeling. If I'm also earning 23 million naira a month, for crying out loud, I will not be complaining. I'll be able to buy fuel, even if they say that it's 5,000 naira per liter. I will buy without complaining. And these are the same set of people that they buy fuel not with their money. These are the same set type of people that they load voucher on their phones without money. These are the same set of people that they use their DSTV virtually free. They get virtually everything free. Even the wardrobe that they give them is virtually free. The food they give them in the house is virtually free. Let me tell you, so a top government official that I went to go and see in the house, I won't mention the name of the person. When I go into the gate, yam flour, or get the plantain, everything was at the gate piled up there. They don't even have store to bring it inside. People have given to them because of the one kind of favor or the other. And these are the people that are earning these humongous salaries. It is most unfair. It is so callous. It is evil. And there is no reason why that kind of thing should continue. Because now, you know why it's so pathetic? The government organized institution that is supposed to be responsible for wages came back to come and deceive Nigerians that these people earn 1.1 million naira every month. When the people that are earning the money, somebody said he earned 223 million, another person said he earned 21 million. And we all know that they gave $5 billion to the president of the Senate as constituency allowance alone. So what are we talking about in this country? These people have lacked all moral right to pontificate to Nigerians, to be patient.
All right, interesting one. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, your name and where are you calling us from?
These are Deronke from Muslim.
All right, please make your point very quickly.
Yeah, on the senator monthly salary or allowance. So it's so sad that even the minimum wage is 70,000, and each senator is collecting 21 million monthly. It is so sad because Nigerians are suffering. We are facing hardship. So why the corruption is the order of the day in Nigeria? So I think it is time to make the center less attractive, because I think it is time to let the center attract, because this amount is too humongous. This humongous amount being given to the senator. So and I award the senator in his state that they should try and please compliment the effort of their state governor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being a part of the program this morning. Coming down, the senators have come out to deny, saying we are not earning up to 21 million naira, but then we want to know how much are they earning. The agency responsible for that, for the payment of their salary, is saying they earn around a little above 1 million naira. Saying total allowance by the senators in a year, by all of them in a year, is just a little bit above $1 billion naira. What's your take on this? Let me pick this call before I take your. Hello, good morning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the voice of John News on Jaco. Professor, let me just make you laugh. Why that agencies was even denying all those allegations, they went on to address Shehu Sani as minister. Regrettably, let me tell Nigerians, a senator is a senator for life, just like a general is a general for life. That's how ridiculous that organization was, while trying to defend whatever money they give them. And I've told the Nigerians, OBJ is an elder statesman, whether we like it or not. He has revealed the same thing many years ago when I said that the former president, he took the lawmakers to task over the extravagant mode. The President OBJ then said, he said the take-home pay of our legislators have crossed the border of selflessness many years ago. It was equally collaborated by T.Y. Danjuma, who commented that the cost of running the National Assembly is mind-boggling and the performance of members is below expectation in terms of bill pass. Whom are they deceiving? The recent comment coming from the former President OBJ is not new. He has raised it before, but because Nigerians were not ready to ask the question. So, Kakawu's comment recently on the revelation is not new. Senator Shehu Sani and Senator Ben Murray Bruce, as serving senators, said it the same thing. Could the senator be talking lie against himself? John Nuzon Jock is my name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Nuzon, for being a part of the program this morning. A lot of insights from that. I thought there. Come with Omoji, your take.
Why won't we have food inflation and food crisis? You know, I was talking about what has brought us to this level. This is part of it. Somebody who was once within the system came out vociferously, categorically saying, this is what I collected as an intern within this circle. And somebody is now saying, this is what I collected. He agreed to 13 million naira. Somebody said 21. For you to know, all manner, forget about their basic salary. There are other, emoluments, these they just get. We're here when Apabio just said, okay, you take so amount, go and do vacation. Go.
He said they should take so amount. He said they should go and check their mails.
And yeah, what was in their mail?
Probably just wishing them well on vacation.
Okay. It is well.
All right, let's get this comment on Facebook. This one is from Miriam Yetunde saying, no doubt, the incompetence of the federal government has turned many Nigerians to beggars, and sharing of palliatives will never be the solution to it, because what we truly need is getting our farmers back to farm in a bid to solve food insecurity, and also government should provide maximum security for them. And I will plead with the pay-setter governor to hasten up the Amotekun Rangers so that they will secure the lives of our farmers. All right, that's coming from Miriam Yetunde. And we have this one from Oluwaseun Root saying, truly Nigerians are turned to beggars, and the people in government knows where the shoe is pitching, but they decide to be sharing rice and as palliatives. As palliative up and down, which has not even reduced the rate of hunger in the land. I will just urge the federal government to address the issue of insecurity that is ravaging the land, which has made all our farmers to flee from their farms, by granting state police and even allow our Amatekun court to bear more sophisticated weapons, so this hardship can come to an end. All right, that's all we're able to take on from the comment on Facebook this morning. All right, we need to leave this morning. Jonathan Ibileke is on the standby to take us on into the world of sport on the program Sports Rave. Right after which Kakakiro will be coming on board on this same dial this morning. Do not go anywhere. Stay glued to your radio set, because a lot of interesting content are still coming your way today. All right, thank you very much, Professor Wale Akinyemi, for being a part of the show this morning.
The pleasure is mine.
And of course, Comedian Moju, thank you for being a part of the program this morning.
Many thanks for having me.
All right, so another time, join me again on Monday on the program Newslands. Tomorrow is the discourse with Stephen Didigba, and then he'll be here to take you on some other conversations as regards national issues. Do not go anywhere. Stay glued to your radio set, like I said. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.